Welcome to another episode of Set Talks podcast, where we break down cybersecurity in a way that actually makes sense. Now, let me ask you a question. If someone logged you out of your phone, bank app, or social media and demanded a sum of 500,000 naira to get it back, what would you do? That's scary, right? But this is exactly what's happening in a new wave of cybercrime called digital kidnapping. We are going to break it all down today. How hackers hijack accounts and devices, why even businesses and celebrities aren't safe, and most importantly, how to make sure you don't fall victim. Stay logged in because this might just save you from losing control of your online life. I'm here today with Favor Okolocha. Favor Okolocha, can you please share us a knowledge? Hey, God. And I'm here once again with Favor Okolocha. Favor, I'm sure you might have heard of digital kidnapping. Can you please share your insights on what digital kidnapping is?
Well, thank you very much. And I must say I'm excited once again to be here to have these kind of conversations with our listeners to discuss these kind of things. So the term digital kidnapping is used very loosely amongst several individuals in the IT or tech space. Some would call it ransomware, some would call it digital kidnapping. It's just what's the word? It's just a way to describe ransomware. For those of us that know what ransomware means, we've talked about it severally on our previous episodes, where your data, your information, your credentials are stolen and then the person who steals this data, credential, or your data or your information, or denies you access to your accounts or your information, seeks some form of ransom in order for them to release it or allow you access those things. For the purpose of this episode, we'll just be talking about it like this: digital kidnapping. And you're right, it's on the rise and very common in Nigeria. So what exactly does it entail? Digital kidnapping, at the very basic, is exactly what it sounds like. Hijackers, criminals will hijack your accounts. They will lock you out and then they demand your access they demand ransom for access to those accounts. Let me just paint a brief picture. Let me just paint this picture for those of us that are listening. Imagine you wake up one morning, and then you try to log into your Instagram account and you notice that your password no longer works. But it's my password now. I've been using this password for many years. I've been using this account since God knows when, and I've never changed the password. And then you check your email, same thing. The password to your email no longer works yet. Then all of a sudden you receive an anonymous message from someone you don't know, from a strange account, asking you or telling you that they own your accounts now. We own your Instagram, we own your email. Pay 300,000 in Bitcoin or else you lose it forever. One thing you know is that panic will set in, instant fear. You become cold instantly. For those of us that have or make use of our social media handles and emails for very important businesses, that use it to carry out, that depend on our social media account and emails for our businesses, instant fear will easily set in. You'll be scared. Your photos, your pictures, your videos, your business, your emails. On the other hand, your bank apps. Imagine your bank apps are connected to your emails, right? So there's a lot of accounts that are connected to your emails. So instant fear, instant panic will set in, and that's just what digital kidnapping looks like. If you are going to imagine it from that standpoint.
So can you please enlighten us how hackers take over our online life?
There are several steps. There are several different angles we can look at it. You might be wondering, how did these criminals even get into your account in the first place? Well, this is how they do it. We've talked about this severally on our episodes. Phishing attacks. When you get an email, or a DM saying your account is at risk, click this to verify, or click this to reset your password. You just go ahead to click the link. You just go ahead to click the account. Click the link. Click the message or open the message, and then you are redirected to a fake login page. Where they gain access to your original password. And then they steal that password. Another way is through session hijacking. For those of us that are very peculiar about free Wi-Fi, this ties back to an episode we did recently where we talked about people that are very excited about free things. Public Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi. Those of us that love to jump on anything free, this is a wake-up call. And it's one of the methods that hackers and criminals can use to kidnap your digital life. Let me put it that way, for us to understand or grasp what it actually means. They can intercept your connection and steal your login session without needing your password. We'll be able to do deep dive on these methods in subsequent episodes, hopefully. We'll break down these methods and open our eyes to see how these things actually work. But that's just it. Phishing attacks, session hijacking, password attacks. For those of us that use very simple passwords, Lagbaja123, password 12345. You can imagine there are people that still use password 123. Can you believe
their name?
Exactly, their first name and then 123. There are people that use passwords that way in 2025, this big 2025 that we are in. So you can imagine there's going to be light work for these criminals. So try as much as possible to use strong passwords. Use strong passwords wherever necessary. And once they gain access, they just lock you out. They change,
ask you for ransom.
Exactly. And the funny thing I've discovered is that they change the recovery options, and they start demanding you money. So I've heard certain stories. These are people that I wouldn't say they are close to me, but I mean they are mutuals. They are mutuals of mine. So a Lagos business owner, I would not mention his name out of respect, lost his Instagram page. He was running an online clothing brand or an online clothing store, and then he woke up one morning to find that his Instagram page was hacked. It depends on this Instagram account. I know him. I don't want to mention his name.
Do you know what the person later did?
The thing is, what happened was that the hacker DM'd his customers, and then they were pretending to be the guy, and then they scammed them before he could warn anybody. The hacker demanded 400,000 naira.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
To record at that time. I mean, as of now, 400,000 doesn't seem like a lot to some people, but at the time this thing happened, 400,000 was not a good thing to hear. There's when we were in school, something similar happened. A university student, that clicked a link that was sent by a fake Instagram support account, and then within minutes, his Instagram, his Gmail, and even his bank app was compromised because he started receiving alerts after some hours. So it's a really scary form of cyber attack. There's also a company, I would rather not mention the company's name again out of respect. Their entire system was locked, and then these hackers demanded $5,000 in Bitcoin. It's a startup company, so I mean, you can imagine what $5,000 would mean to them, in Bitcoin. Without backups, they had no other choice but to pay. Luckily for them, unfortunately, where they missed it was that after paying, the hackers refused to release the account. So it was just a very terrible situation. So it's a very, very serious and scary phenomenon that we should pay close attention to. These are just a few examples of how serious digital kidnapping, or in other words, ransomware, looks like, or what it is. So it's something that I believe all our listeners should pay close attention to and take seriously.
So, how do you think our listeners can protect themselves from this kind of attack?
That's a very good question. I believe there is an episode we talked about this recently. It should definitely be tagged in the description, But then, for once again, for those of us that are listening to this for the very first time, I'll go over it again. Use strong and unique passwords. Use strong and unique passwords. Use strong and unique passwords. How many times did I say it? Use strong and unique passwords. Avoid using the same password across multiple sites or across multiple accounts. It's a loophole that is like honeypot to some of these criminals. Use a password manager if you have to. If you are going to use different passwords for different accounts, you can utilize some password managers to help you keep track or help you keep track of these passwords. Another thing is to enable two-factor authentication, or 2FA, as some social media apps will display it. 2FA. Even if hackers gain your password or they have access to your password, they won't be able to log in without the second verification step. Sometimes these things can even be frustrating for you as a user, because I tried to log into my email some days back on a different system, but then the whole process of the second verification, waiting for the OTP, on my original phone number, so that whole process just goes a long way to show that having my password is not enough to gain access to my account. So enabling two-factor authentication, 2FA as some would like to call it, is very important. I would say this 3 times again. Never click on suspicious links or links that looks very sketchy. Never click on suspicious links. Never click on suspicious links. You would whatever your eyes see, you would just have to take it. If you get an unexpected email or a DM or SMS with a link, try as much as possible to avoid it. If you are not sure or you don't know the source of this link or this message or this email, do not click. If you have to, you just have to verify first, confirm from the official source. Some of all these companies that send you emails, go to visit their official website. Some of the things that they are sending via email might most likely be fake, so you have to do your own personal verification. Please be careful with public Wi-Fi. For this 4th point, please be very careful with public Wi-Fi. I know it's exciting. It's something that most public spaces are doing now. Enabling free Wi-Fi, free internet for those that would come by, or for businesses, for public spaces. They would try to give free public Wi-Fi. Avoid logging into your sensitive account. That's your Instagram store. That's your clothing brand store. That's your Instagram account that you used to run your business. Don't use public Wi-Fi to log into that account. It's a very risky attempt, and you're opening door for hackers. Another thing I would advise is to regularly back up your data. It's very painful for that my friend. He had to build his account up back from scratch. Most of all his engagement with customers, some of his clients. So what I would advise is that you should regularly back up your data. If your computer, your phone gets locked, having a backup means you won't totally lose everything. If your account is locked, if your app is locked, having a backup or an updated backup means that you have not lost everything. And if you get hacked, please do not pay the ransom. I say it again, do not pay the ransom. 9.9 out of 10 times, the ransom, the attackers, the hackers will not pay the ransom. would not free your account or let go of your account or your credentials even after you've paid the ransom. They just want to collect the money and vanish. So avoid paying the ransom. Many hackers will never restore your access after receiving payment. Instead of paying the ransom, you can approach the authorities to report the incident and take steps to recover your account if the possibility is still there. So let me leave this with you with your final thoughts. It's quite a lot to unpack, but I'm very sure our listeners can pick one or two things from this and take a giant step to securing their personal information and their personal accounts. With this, I believe we'll be able to keep digital kidnappers at bay. So let me leave you with your final thoughts.
I'm sure by now our listeners would have understood what digital kidnapping is and how they can also stay safe online. Digital kidnapping is real and it's only gets worse. Cyber criminals are getting smarter, and if you don't take your security seriously, you could be next. Take action today. Secure your passwords, turn on two-factor authentication, and also stop clicking suspicious links. And most importantly, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe to Set Talks podcast for more cybersecurity insights that matter to you. See you in the next episode.